spiritual identities, Abangan, Santri, Christian, Priyari. There are separate school systems, and that's extremely important. The Priyari established schools in which people learn Javanese, learn Onochoroko. They learn Malay, but only in Roman script. The Santri created the Santrans, who used to learn no Javanese script, learn Malay and Arabic, used Arabic script. So it was literally the case that children who came from these two schools could not write a letter to each other. They couldn't read the script or the languages the others used. So separate school systems, but most Javanese, of course, went to no school at all. This is a very illiterate society still. There were institutions for the Santri, Muhammadiyah, Santrans, or the Amal Sahar, Muhammadiyah, Masjid, and so on. But for the Abangan, there were no institutions except political parties. And that's an important difference. The Abangan had never had other institutions. And so from all this was born what we call the aliran politics of Indonesia, where political parties replicate social differences. So communities became divided between us and them. The tensions increased, and the first actual physical violence occurred in the middle of the revolution at Madiun and in Solo in 1948, when the Communist Party attempted a coup against the revolutionary government. It was destroyed. But in the wake of that, or during that, there was a lot of conflict between Santri and Abangan. Abangan supporters of PKI killed Kiais and so forth in the Madiun area. Conflict followed in the Solo area. There may have been, nobody knows, there may have been about 8,000 killed. The election campaigns of the 1950s increased the tension. Remember, this is a basically illiterate society at this stage. So slogans, rumors, songs, these are the kinds of things that drove those campaigns, and they were very rude. From the side of NU and Masyumi, for example, PKI was said to mean Partai Kriminal Indonesia. Karena mereka akan mencuri tanah. NU itu wong nunggu udah. Just passive, just waiting for the rain to come. And people moved. People moved from Santri Kampung to Abangan Kampung and so forth. And the social divisions became wider and more dangerous. How many Santri were there? How many Abangan were there? We have no really reliable evidence, but I've been trying to answer that question, not for 10 years, but maybe for 5. I think probably about maybe 20-25% of orang Jawa can be called Santri in that period. Yang membayar zakat, yang bersembahyang manakala sehari, yang mau naik haji dan sebagainya. And probably about 75% were Abangan. Well, the conflict went on, and I think everyone here would be familiar with the tragic history which culminated finally in the conflicts and the killings in 1963, 65, 66. Then came Suharto's Orde Baru. And in the new order, an absolutely crucial development took place. That is to say, the political parties, the only representations of Abangan interests, were destroyed. So the PKI, of course, was physically eliminated. And when the other parties were fused in the 1970s, of course, the other political representation of Abangan interests were rendered insignificant. Now, of course, on the Santri side, Partai mereka juga hilang, but they still had Muhammadiyah, Amal Sahar, the universities, the Pesantrens, the Salah, the Masjid. I mean, all of those institutions of the Santri community still function. So you can lose Santri political parties and still have a strong Santri society. Lose Abangan political parties and there's no organizational structure. And this was one of the things that enabled a dramatic wave of deepening understanding of Islam in the society. In fact, now, I mean, again, the statistics are in fact very unreliable. But now, it's probably something like 75% are Santri and 25% among them. It's probably reversed in that time. But the other strange thing was that this also produced another kind of reaction, and that is to say Christianization also increased in the Orde Baru period. By the 1970s, in urban areas of central Java, about 12% of the population is Christian. In Jogja and in Solo, about 15%. And that brings us to the present dramatic era reformasi, when a lot of these things now are coming out. First of all, let us remind ourselves, I think briefly now, of some of the variety of phenomena which are going on in Java now, in terms of the variety of expressions of religion in Java. And since we're in Jogja, and that's the home of Muhammadiyah, because we should begin by talking about Muhammadiyah.